If you are taking the PMP exam in 2022 beyond, you want to watch the whole of this video to understand what is in the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. To understand the history, the 6th edition was broken down into process groups over here and knowledge areas over here. But in the 7th edition, a transition was made into principles of project management and domains of project management. Now, there's a whole lot of correlation between these. Project management has not changed, and it's important for you to understand what are the similarities and differences, if any. One of the major things that was added that I believe is a good addition is the concept known as the value delivery system. It's called a system for value delivery. Definitely take a look at that. That is a good one to focus on. The other one that's very important is the principles in and of themselves. Remember, these are PMI's principles. So if you're taking the PMP exam, you definitely want to know about these. I'll cover these in a little bit of detail. Lastly, all of these performance domains are not new to project management. However, there are a couple that I would like to call out. I believe that this is a very good addition. It's the concept of measurement, because measurement cuts across everything. I would also like you to address the concept of uncertainty. Uncertainty also cuts across everything. Now, all of these principles and domains are covered in my very short 130+ page book known as Project Management, a Layman's Guide. You can find that on Amazon if you are interested. But let's go through this presentation and try to understand other important aspects for your exam. Project management in the traditional world has scope as fixed. Schedule and budget are flexible. But in the world of Agile, we flip this triangle on its head and scope becomes flexible. Schedule and budget are fixed. We have a stable team that's fixed budget for the most part, and we have a time box of anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks in the world of Scrum, something around that in the world of Agile in general, even though sprints could be longer. If you have read the Agile Practice Guide, you should be able to answer this question. What is this image known as? 3, 2, 1. The answer can be found on page 14 of the Agile Practice Guide. It is known as the Stacy Complexity Model, also just called the Stacy Model. The Stacy Model shows you if you are in a simple type of project, it's okay for you to use simple project management, traditional project management. But as you move towards the area of complex, this is where you need to be more agile. And when you get onto full-blown anarchy, of course, you definitely need agile more than anything else. Let's take a look at the mapping of the PMBOK Guide 6th edition and 7th edition. The 6th edition broke project management down into process groups: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. But there's another layer of understanding here. When we take a look at initiating, it's authorization. Planning is planning everything. Executing is doing the work. Monitoring and controlling is checking to make sure the work is going according to plan. And closing is closing out the project or phase in a project. So all of these domains, you could call them process groups, are important for your exam. I call this the process group pentagon. Now, on top of the process group pentagon, right there at the base, you need a good understanding of the principles of project management. Very quickly, stewardship, being a respectful, caring steward, collaborating. Number 2, collaborate with the team. Teamwork makes the dream work. Number 3, stakeholders, engage with your stakeholders. 4, focus on value. Don't do what is not needed, offer value. Number 5, systems, see the big picture. Number 6, leadership, demonstrate leadership behaviors. Be courageous, have empathy. Number 7, tailor based on context. Number 8, quality, build quality in. Remember, technical excellence and good design enhances your agility. Number 9, complexity, navigate complexity. How do you do that? Breaking it down into smaller chunks. Being agile helps you navigate complexity. Also, being attuned to the concept of change helps you navigate complexity. After all, Agile is called change-driven. Number 10, risk. Optimize risk responses. Number 11, adaptability. Embrace adaptability and resiliency. And 12, change. Enable change to achieve the envisioned future state. Now, going back to the Pentagon, The process group pentagon on top of this has a layer, like I said, of the PMBOK guide 7th edition. But on top of this, we could also impose the knowledge areas of integration, scope, managing the schedule, managing the cost, quality, resources, communications, risk, procurement, and stakeholder. But I have put risk in the middle for a very important reason. Every one of these areas could be viewed from a risk perspective. You could view the aspect of scope from a risk lens. You could view the aspect of schedule from a risk lens, because you could have scope risk, schedule risk, cost risk. You could have quality related risks, resource related risk, communication related risk, procurement related risk, and even stakeholder related risks. Putting everything together through configuration management, change management, and the project management plan could end up being a risk itself. And that's why risk is in the middle as the bullseye. Now, in addition to all of these areas, it is very important for you to understand what is at the base. At the base is the 12 principles in the 7th edition. This has to do more with your mindset going in for project management as a PMP. On top of this, also understand that the 7th edition presents domains. There's a lot of overlap between the stakeholder domain and stakeholder management, the team domain and resource management, the development approach and lifecycle domain with integration, the planning domain is all across the board with planning. Project work also maps back to integration and also maps back to executing as a whole. The project work domain also maps to resources. The delivery domain maps to scope and quality. The uncertainty domain, of course, maps to risk. The measurement domain sits very squarely on a number of areas, but when we talk about earned value, we got to talk about cost, and we got to talk about monitoring and controlling as a whole. Going into the individual domains, stakeholder, as I said, is just that. It's all about engaging the stakeholder, planning how to engage them at first, identifying them even before that, and making sure that everything regarding stakeholder management is covered. Identify, prioritize, monitor them, monitor the engagement, understand them, engage them, and analyze. The team performance domain is all about forming the team, understanding the project team culture that you would like to see, building a high-performing team, employing great leadership skills, and being able to tailor that to the team. The development approach and life cycle domain is all about structuring out the project cadence, life cycle relationship. The delivery cadence needs to be decided upon. What are the development approaches we're going to use? Iterative, incremental, adaptive or agile, and predictive. So make considerations for what to do on the project. Life cycles, phase definitions at the early stage are important. Then you have the huge task as a PMP of aligning delivery cadence, development approach, and life cycle. Next one is the planning domain. This is all about planning. There are many planning variables that cut across the knowledge areas I showed you. We talk about the project team composition and structure, communication, physical resources, procurement, changes, metrics, alignment. These are various aspects that we plan. Going into the project work performance domain, this is where we carry out the work. We are balancing competing constraints, maintaining project team focus, big on communications. Remember, the project manager does this 70 to 90% of the time. We're managing physical resources, working with procurements, monitoring new work and changes, and learning throughout the project. In the delivery performance domain, we're very focused on the delivery of value. If it's not value, we don't do it. Remember the value delivery system. It's all about delivering value and benefits, and that leads us to the outcome we're looking to achieve. Along the way, we talk about deliverables, we talk about outcomes, quality, suboptimal outcomes, not ideal outcomes, but what can we do with that? We can learn and we can do better next time. Next, we get into the measurement performance domain, and this is all about establishing effective measures. First of all, deciding on what to measure, presenting the information to management or stakeholders, taking a look at pitfalls. Sometimes we could be measuring the wrong thing. That is one of the pitfalls. Going over the top with our measurements, not being focused. We also have troubleshooting performance and growing and improving in our measurements, how we measure on projects. Next one is uncertainty. And this is all about general uncertainty, as well as ambiguity, complexity, volatility, and of course, risk. And with that, my friends, we are at the end of our very, very rapid review of the PMBOK Guide 7th edition. Remember that a lot of what you've learned in the 6th edition is not wasted. In fact, it is still very relevant. It's just a different configuration, scrambled differently. If you do a search in the 7th edition and you look for the word Agile or Scrum, you will barely find 3 instances of that. Therefore, you still need a very solid base in Agile. You also need a very solid base in traditional basics. And that cannot be found, unfortunately, in the 7th edition. Now, if you are getting ready for the PMP exam in 2022, I highly advise you come in for one of our courses. They are low risk, low cost, high value. Go on down to the website. It's Praizion.com, Praizion. On Praizion.com, you'll see a couple of courses. One is called the PMP Exam Immersion. You can see it right over here. Get immersed in 4 hours of solid training for the PMP. We usually have these on Sundays, so everyone is able to attend for the most part. Take a look at the schedule. And we also have the Project Management Masterclass, and this holds typically on Saturdays. If you're keen on either one of these, highly advise you visit the site, sign up. If you're looking for one-on-one coaching, we also have a one-on-one coaching segment there. Just click on that and book some time. Thank you very much for joining me. I wish you all the very best. Put some questions in the comments and let's keep the conversation going. Bye for now.